It was supposed to be just another party. Music filled the air, lights shimmered across the dance floor, and laughter echoed from every corner. I arrived expecting nothing more than a few drinks and casual conversations. But what unfolded that night was far from ordinary. I found myself at the center of an attraction I never imagined, drawn into the energy of two women whose presence would challenge everything I thought I knew about passion, love, and myself. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss the unforgettable stories we share, tales that will stir your emotions, ignite your imagination, and remind you that sometimes love breaks all the rules. That night, in the heat of the party, I discovered that passion doesn't always come in pairs. Sometimes, it comes in threes. The music was already pulsing through the walls when I arrived at the house. I could feel the bass in my chest before I even stepped inside, the kind of rhythm that demanded you let go of everything else. Parties were never really my thing, but my best friend insisted that this one was different, that I needed to stop hiding behind long work hours and let myself breathe for once. So there I was, standing at the door with a red plastic cup shoved into my hand by a stranger, scanning a sea of faces and neon lights. At first, it felt like every other crowded night. People laughing too loudly, couples pressed together in corners, groups gathering around the kitchen where bottles lined the counter. But then I saw them. They were standing near the staircase, their presence impossible to ignore. One of them had dark hair that shimmered under the light, her eyes sharp but playful, like she was in on a secret the rest of us weren't. The other had a softer look, blonde hair falling loosely over her shoulders, her smile wide enough to make the people around her lean in closer. Together, they drew the kind of attention that wasn't loud, wasn't forced, it just happened. I caught myself staring and quickly looked away, embarrassed at how obvious I must have been. But when I glanced back a moment later, the dark-haired one was watching me. Not by accident, not just passing over me in a crowd. She was watching. My heart skipped. I turned toward the kitchen, pretending to be fascinated by the bottles lined up like soldiers on parade. I poured something into my cup I couldn't identify and took a sip that burned too much to be enjoyable. Still, I needed something to calm the tremor inside me. I tried blending into a group talking about some new movie, nodding like I was part of the conversation. But I felt them before I saw them. That strange sensation, like heat creeping up the back of my neck, warning me I wasn't alone. When I turned, they were both there, standing just a few feet away, their eyes fixed on me as if they had agreed, without words, to focus on the same person. The blonde one spoke first. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." I laughed nervously. "Is it that obvious?" "Completely," she said, her smile soft but mischievous. "So why are you here?" I hesitated. "Peer pressure." The dark-haired woman tilted her head. "Sometimes peer pressure brings you to exactly the place you're meant to be." Her voice was low, smooth, deliberate. For a moment I forgot how to breathe. It was just a party, just strangers, yet I felt like the ground had shifted beneath me. They introduced themselves, Ava, the one with the dark eyes, and Lily, the blonde with the kind smile. Their names felt too intimate already, like I wasn't supposed to know them and yet somehow always had. "Do you dance?" Lily asked. "Not well," I admitted. "Perfect," Ava said. "Neither do we." Before I could protest, Lily slipped her hand around mine, gentle but sure, and pulled me toward the living room where the music was loudest. Ava followed close, her gaze steady on me like she was testing how far I'd let this go. The crowd parted slightly, and suddenly I was moving with them, my body awkward at first, but their energy contagious. I told myself it was harmless, just dancing, just letting loose, but the way Ava's eyes lingered on me made my pulse race. The way Lily laughed when I stumbled, then steadied me with her hands, made me feel caught between two currents pulling me in different directions but somehow leading to the same place. At some point, Ava leaned close enough that her words brushed against my ear. "You don't belong in the corner. You belong right here." The heat that rushed through me had nothing to do with the crowded room. Hours blurred after that. The three of us drifted from the dance floor to the back patio, where the air was cooler and stars cut through the night. We sat close, our knees almost touching, conversations weaving between jokes, secrets, and pauses that said more than words. I learned that Lily was studying architecture, that Ava wrote music no one else had heard. They asked about me, and for once I didn't feel like shrinking into the background. They listened like every word mattered. It felt dangerous, the way time slipped without me noticing. Dangerous, the way I caught myself comparing the shape of their smiles. Dangerous, the way I wanted more even though I didn't know what more meant yet. At one point, Lily leaned back against the wall, her head tilted as she studied me. "You have that look," she said. "What look?" "The look of someone who's not sure whether to stay or run." Ava's gaze sharpened. "She's not going to run." Her certainty both thrilled and terrified me. Inside, someone cranked the music louder, and the party roared on. But out there on the patio, the world had shrunk to 3 people, a circle that felt sealed off from everything else. I thought about pulling away, about reminding myself this was just a night, just strangers, nothing lasting. But the truth was, I didn't want it to end. When I finally stood to leave, their eyes followed me with something unspoken, something I couldn't quite name. Lily touched my arm lightly, her fingers lingering just long enough to set my skin on fire. Ava's voice came next, low and steady. "This isn't the end," she said. I walked away, my heart pounding, the night air cool against my face but doing nothing to ease the heat inside me. Their words clung to me, their presence etched into every beat of music still echoing in my chest. And as I drove home, one thought consumed me. I had stepped into something I couldn't walk away from. Not now. Maybe not ever. The morning after the party, I expected everything to fade like a dream. Usually, that's how nights like that go, loud, messy, unforgettable in the moment but blurred into fragments once the sun comes up. But this was different. I woke with their faces still sharp in my mind, the sound of their laughter weaving into my thoughts like a song I couldn't turn off. Ava's voice, deep, deliberate, carrying weight with every word, still echoed inside me. Lily's smile, bright and disarming, kept flashing in my memory, paired with the warmth of her hand when she pulled me onto the dance floor. I spent the day restless. At work, I drifted through tasks without focus, answering emails with fingers that hesitated too long on the keyboard. When a coworker asked if I was okay, I just shrugged and said I hadn't slept much. That part was true. I hadn't slept at all, not really. By evening, I gave up trying to fight it. I checked my phone, half expecting, half hoping for a message I knew shouldn't be there. I hadn't given them my number. We hadn't exchanged any way to stay in touch. That should have been the end of it. Except it wasn't. A week later, I was sitting in a cafe near downtown, pretending to read while my mind wandered, when I heard a voice I recognized immediately. "Didn't expect to find you here." I looked up and there she was. Ava, leaning casually against the counter, her hair pulled back, her expression unreadable but her eyes unmistakable. I froze. She walked over, setting a cup of coffee on my table as if she'd always known she'd join me. "Lily's parking the car," she said, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My pulse spiked. "You both came here?" "Not for you," she said, and for a second my heart sank, until she smiled faintly. But maybe that's how it was supposed to work out. A minute later, Lily appeared, her energy bright enough to light the whole cafe. She slid into the chair across from me without hesitation. "Well, this is fate," she said, her grin playful. "Or really good timing." I laughed, though nerves tangled my voice. "Do you always crash other people's coffee breaks?" "Only when we're invited," Lily teased. "I didn't invite you." Ava leaned closer, her gaze steady. "Didn't you?" I swallowed hard because maybe I had. Maybe I'd been inviting this since the moment I couldn't look away from them at the party. The conversation unfolded easily after that. Lily carried the lightness, joking about the chaos of parking downtown, about the terrible playlist the cafe played on repeat. Ava balanced her, cutting through with quieter observations, comments that made me feel seen in ways I couldn't explain. The 3 of us slipped into rhythm quickly, like the night at the party had only been an introduction. But under the surface, tension hummed. Every glance felt weighted, every brush of Lily's hand when she reached across the table left sparks. Ava's eyes lingered too long, her words landing softer when she spoke to me. I kept reminding myself this was dangerous territory, that people don't just fall into this kind of connection without consequences. Still, when Lily suggested we take a walk, I didn't hesitate. The city air was crisp, carrying the smell of food trucks and the sound of street musicians playing on corners. Lily walked between us, her arm brushing mine now and then, while Ava stayed slightly behind, watching everything with quiet intensity. We ended up near the river, the water catching city lights like broken glass. There, the air seemed heavier, quieter. "You've been thinking about us," Ava said suddenly. Not a question. A statement. I froze, my breath catching. "What makes you say that?" "The way you look at us," she replied. "Like you're trying to decide if this is real." Lily shifted closer, her expression softer. "Isn't it?" The world seemed to narrow, the sounds of the city fading until it was just the three of us standing by the water, caught in a moment that felt suspended outside of time. "I don't know what this is," I admitted. My voice cracked slightly because the truth scared me. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel." Lily reached for my hand, her touch warm, grounding. "You don't have to know. You just have to feel it." And then Ava stepped closer too, her presence pulling me in like gravity. Sometimes, the things that scare us the most are exactly what we need. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. I wanted to run, to protect myself from something that could change everything. But I also wanted to stay, to see how far this could go. For a long moment, none of us moved. Then, Lily squeezed my hand, Ava's gaze locked on mine, and I realized I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't turn away from. And that's when a voice cut through the air behind us. "Hey, what are you three doing out here?" It was a man's voice, sharp, interrupting the fragile thread that had been holding us together. I spun, startled, as a group of people from the cafe approached, laughing and shouting, clearly drunk. They didn't mean harm, but the moment shattered instantly. We stepped back, the spell broken, but the electricity lingered in my veins. As we walked back toward the cafe, Ava leaned in close enough that only I could hear. "This isn't over." The certainty in her tone both terrified me and made my pulse race with anticipation. The days that followed felt like I was walking with a secret pressed against my skin. Everything looked the same on the outside, my routine, my work, the quiet evenings at home, but inside me, something had shifted. I couldn't stop replaying the river moment, the heat of Lily's hand in mine, the sharp certainty in Ava's voice when she said, "This isn't over." And it wasn't. 2 nights later, I got a text message from an unknown number. "We're downtown. Come join us." I didn't have to ask who it was. My stomach flipped as I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. Every rational voice in me screamed that I should ignore it. But I didn't. When I arrived, the bar was already humming with life, music pounding, lights dim, people clustered at small tables with drinks in hand. I spotted them instantly. Ava leaned against the wall, her presence commanding even in the low light, while Lily danced near the edge of the crowd, her laughter carrying above the music. Lily saw me first. Her face lit up, and in seconds she was tugging me into the swirl of bodies on the dance floor. "I knew you'd come," she shouted over the music. I tried to laugh, but my nerves made it shaky. "I almost didn't." "But you did," she said, her eyes glinting, her fingers slipping between mine as if she had every right. "That's what matters." Her closeness was dizzying, her energy impossible to resist. The crowd pressed around us, but all I could feel was the rhythm of her body against mine, the undeniable magnet pulling me closer. And then Ava appeared at my side. She didn't push or pull, she simply was. Solid, grounding. She leaned in, her voice low and steady against the chaos. "Relax. Let go." Something inside me broke open then. I let myself stop fighting, stop questioning, and for the first time in years, I simply gave in to the moment. We danced until my legs ached, until the world narrowed to the three of us in orbit around each other. At one point, Lily's arms slid around my waist, pulling me back against her, while Ava's hand brushed my shoulder in a touch so light it burned. I knew people were watching, but for once I didn't care. Eventually, We spilled outside into the cool night air. The city was alive around us, traffic buzzing, laughter spilling from doorways, but the three of us found a quiet corner near the alley, hidden from the main street. That was, I began, but I couldn't find the words. Exactly what it was supposed to be, Lily said brightly, her cheeks flushed. Ava's eyes, though, were darker, sharper. It scared you? I froze. No. Yes, she interrupted gently. And that's not a bad thing. Lily leaned against the wall, watching us with something softer now, less playful. You don't have to figure it all out right now. Just, don't run from it. I swallowed hard, my thoughts tangled. You too? You've done this before, haven't you? Pulled someone in like this? For the first time, Ava's steady expression shifted. She looked at Lily, then back at me. We've connected with people. But this isn't the same. Lily nodded, her voice quiet. It feels different with you. My chest tightened at their words, but doubt still whispered at the edges of my mind. Different or not, what did this mean for me? For us? For anyone watching? Before I could speak, Ava's phone buzzed. She pulled it out, her expression darkening instantly. We need to go, she said. Lily frowned. What is it? Ava hesitated, then sighed. Work. It was a single word, but loaded. I didn't know exactly what Ava did, only that her job carried weight and responsibility. Whatever the message was, it pulled her immediately away from the heat of our moment. Lily exhaled, frustration flickering across her face, but she masked it quickly with a smile in my direction. Rain check. I nodded, though my chest felt heavy. Yeah. Of course. Ava touched my arm briefly before they turned to leave. Don't overthink this. But of course I did. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my thoughts spinning. Was I losing myself in something too fast, too reckless? Or was I finally finding something I'd been searching for all along? The next morning, as if sensing my turmoil, Lily sent a single message. Meet me at the park this afternoon. Just us. And that was how I found myself sitting on a sun-warmed bench hours later, watching her walk toward me. She wore no makeup, her hair tied up casually, her smile smaller this time but still warm. Thought you might not come, she said as she sat beside me. I almost didn't, I admitted. But you did. She nudged me lightly. You keep doing that. We sat in silence for a while, watching children run across the grass, their laughter cutting through the air. Finally, she turned to me, her expression serious. You're scared of Ava, she said. I blinked. I'm not. Yes, you are. And I get it. She's intense. But she cares more than she lets on. Her honesty startled me. And what about you? Lily's eyes softened. Me? I want you to know this isn't a game for us. Not for me. I like you. More than I expected to. The weight of her words pressed into me, heavier than I'd anticipated. I wanted to believe her, but fear still wrapped tight around my ribs. I don't know if I can do this, I confessed. She reached for my hand again, squeezing gently. You don't have to decide today. Just don't shut the door before you know what's inside. Her words lingered as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in streaks of gold and pink. And though doubt still sat heavy in me, something else bloomed too, something like hope. Because even as the day ended, I couldn't ignore the truth. I wasn't ready to walk away. And that's when my phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Ava. We need to talk. Tonight. My heart skipped, torn between fear and anticipation, knowing that whatever came next could change everything. When I saw Ava's message, my pulse quickened. We need to talk. Tonight. There was no emoji, no softening word, just stark finality. My first instinct was to panic, to make up some excuse about being busy, but deep down, I knew there was no avoiding this. By the time evening came, I was a knot of nerves. Ava suggested a small cafe tucked in a quiet corner of downtown. When I arrived, the place was almost empty, the warm glow of hanging lights spilling across wooden tables. She was already there, seated at the back, her posture sharp, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. I slid into the seat opposite her, trying to mask how unsettled I felt. You said you wanted to talk. Yes. Her tone was clipped, but not unkind. Because this can't keep going without clarity. Not for you, not for us. I swallowed, unsure if I wanted to hear what was coming next. Ava leaned forward, her fingers interlaced on the table. You think this is reckless? That it's a game? But it isn't. Lily might look carefree, but she doesn't take this lightly. And neither do I. Her eyes locked onto mine with such intensity that I had to look down. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel, I admitted. Half the time I want to run. The other half, I trailed off, unable to finish. The other half, you want to see where this goes, she finished for me. I nodded silently. Ava exhaled, her expression softening. Then stop fighting yourself so much. We don't want to push you into something you don't want. But you can't keep stepping in and out of this. It's going to break you, and maybe us. The honesty in her words hit me harder than I expected. It wasn't control or demand, it was vulnerability. She wasn't just protecting herself and Lily, she was protecting me too. Before I could respond, the cafe door opened. Lily walked in, her hair loose, her cheeks pink from the cool night. She spotted us instantly and hurried over, sliding into the seat beside Ava. What did I miss? She asked lightly, but her eyes darted between us, sensing the tension. We're talking, Ava said evenly. About? Lily prompted. About whether she wants this, Ava replied, her gaze fixed on me again. The air grew heavy. I could feel Lily studying me, waiting for me to say something, anything. My throat felt dry, my heart pounding so hard I was sure they could hear it. I don't know what I want, I admitted finally, my voice small. But I know I can't stop thinking about you. Both of you. And that terrifies me. Lily's expression softened instantly. She reached across the table, her hand brushing mine. It doesn't have to be terrifying. It can just be what it is. One step at a time. Ava nodded slowly, her jaw unclenching. Then let it be that. No labels. No rushing. Just truth. I let out a shaky breath, a mix of fear and relief swirling in my chest. Okay, I said quietly. The conversation shifted after that. Lily cracked a few jokes, Ava ordered coffee for all of us, and the tension began to ease. But beneath the laughter and small talk, I could feel something solid forming. A fragile agreement, a tentative path forward. When we left the cafe, the night air was cool and clear. Lily slipped her arm through mine, and Ava walked on my other side, close enough that our shoulders brushed occasionally. For the first time, I didn't pull away. But the world has a way of testing fragile beginnings. We were halfway down the block when a group of people spilled out of a nearby bar, rowdy, loud, already drunk. One of them, a man with a baseball cap turned backward, stopped in his tracks when he saw us. His gaze flicked from Lily's hand on my arm to Ava's proximity, and his smirk turned sharp. Well, he drawled. Looks like someone's greedy. Lily stiffened instantly, her grip on me tightening. Ava stepped forward, her voice cold. Keep walking. The man laughed, motioning to his friends. What? Can't handle a joke. Three's a crowd, sweetheart. Or maybe not in your case. My stomach dropped. Heat rushed to my face, a mix of shame and fury. People on the sidewalk slowed, watching. Let's go, I whispered, tugging at Lily's arm, but Ava stood her ground, her jaw set like stone. You don't get to stand here and spit poison at strangers, she said, her tone low but lethal. For a moment, I thought he might push it further, but one glance at Ava's glare made him scoff and turn away, muttering under his breath. His friends dragged him off, laughing. The silence he left behind was suffocating. People had stopped staring, but the damage was done. My chest ached, my fear and doubt surging higher than ever. Are you okay? Lily asked softly, her thumb rubbing circles over my hand. I don't know, I admitted. The truth was raw, heavy. That man's words had hit too close to the insecurities already eating me alive. Ava's voice softened for the first time that night. People will judge. They always do. But they don't live your life. You do. Her words stayed with me long after we parted ways. That night, lying awake, I realized something had shifted again. The fear was still there, sharp and loud, but underneath it was a spark of defiance, of wanting to choose for myself, no matter who was watching. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I was running from them anymore, or running toward something I desperately needed to claim. Because when Ava's words echoed in my mind, "You live your life," I felt the truth of it settle deep in my bones. But would I be strong enough to live it? The days after that night felt like a blur. I kept replaying the man's cruel words on the sidewalk, the way people stared, the heat of embarrassment that burned my skin. But I also remembered Ava's voice, steady, firm, reminding me that no one else gets to live my life for me. Those two truths battled inside me like fire and water. I wanted to retreat, to hide where no one could see me. But then my phone buzzed, and it was Lily, asking if I would meet them again. My heart said yes before my fear could intervene. We chose a park on the edge of the city, one with wide fields and quiet corners. When I arrived, they were already sitting on a blanket under a tall oak tree. Ava gave me a small nod of acknowledgement, while Lily patted the space between them with her usual brightness. As I sat down, the silence pressed on us. Finally, Ava broke it. "We need to know where you stand." Her voice wasn't harsh, just steady, determined. "I know," I said quietly. My hands trembled, so I clasped them in my lap. "And I've been thinking about it nonstop. About that night, about the looks, about what people will say. And I realized something. I'm tired of living for other people's comfort, for their expectations." Lily's eyes softened, a slow smile spreading across her face. Ava's expression barely shifted, but I caught the flicker of hope in her eyes. "I can't promise I won't be afraid," I continued. "But I don't want to run anymore. I want this. I want to." The words felt terrifying and liberating all at once. Lily leaned over, her hand brushing mine before lacing our fingers together. "Then let's stop worrying about tomorrow and just live today." Ava exhaled deeply, almost like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. "If you're really in, then we'll face the rest together. The judgment, the whispers, the doubts, it won't be easy. But it'll be ours." Something inside me broke open at that. A fear I'd carried for years began to crumble, piece by piece, replaced by a quiet strength. We spent that afternoon talking, really talking. Not just about us, but about who we were beyond this triangle of emotions. Lily told stories about her restless spirit, the cities she wanted to see, the art she wanted to create. Ava shared pieces of herself she usually kept hidden, the grief of losing her sister young, the walls she'd built to keep herself safe. I listened, I laughed, I even cried. And somewhere between the confessions and the silences, I realized I wasn't just drawn to them, I was being transformed by them. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink, Lily nudged me playfully. "So, does this mean we finally get to stop pretending in public?" I hesitated, my heart pounding. Ava watched me closely, giving me no hint of pressure, only waiting. And for once, I didn't overthink. I reached for Lily's hand, then for Ava's. My palms were sweaty, my body shaking, but I held on. "Let them stare," I said, my voice trembling but sure. "I'm done hiding." The relief in their faces was immediate. Lily laughed, bright and unrestrained, while Ava's lips curved into the faintest but most genuine smile I'd ever seen. We stayed like that, 3 hands linked beneath the fading sky, until the park lights flickered on. People passed by, some glancing curiously, others not noticing at all. And though my chest still tightened with every look, I didn't let go. Later, as we walked toward the parking lot, Ava fell into step beside me. "You know this won't be easy, right?" she said softly. "I know," I replied. "But I also know I don't want to lose this because I was too afraid to try." Her gaze lingered on me for a moment before she nodded. "Then you're stronger than you think." When we finally parted ways that night, Lily hugged me so tightly I almost lost my breath, and Ava pressed her hand to my shoulder with a quiet steadiness that spoke volumes. Driving home, I thought about how far I'd come from the person who wanted to keep running. I thought about the shame, the fear, the judgment, and how, for the first time, it didn't feel bigger than me. Yes, the world would talk. Yes, some people would laugh or point or even condemn. But I wasn't doing this for them. I was doing this for me. For us. For the possibility of a love that didn't fit neatly into anyone else's box but still felt real, alive, and worth fighting for. That night, lying in bed, I smiled to myself. I wasn't certain where this road would lead. Maybe it would be messy. Maybe it would break me sometimes. But maybe it could also heal me. And with that thought, I finally fell asleep, my heart steady for the first time in a long while. Because no matter what came next, I knew I had chosen. I had chosen truth. I had chosen love. And that was enough.